Intro. Good. Where are we now? I forget what time of day it is. Good
Afternoon.
Day. It is good afternoon.
Yeah.
It's good afternoon and good evening, probably somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Or good morning. So we're here at the Ingram Micro podcast room. This is the Microsoft Teams rooms. This is going to be a mouthful. Prepare yourself, everybody. Ingram Micro, Microsoft Teams rooms, AI-powered workplace podcast room.
Wow.
There's an acronym in there somewhere, right, Michelle? And with me today, I've got Michel Bouman, who is in the AI-powered workplace team. It is changing the world literally in how we perceive AI in the modern workplace and how that permeates into the everyday work culture. So, Michel, welcome.
Thank you.
Really good to have you here again. Obviously, we were here last year.
Yeah.
It's changed a little bit. We've got a slightly different looking room. What do you think?
You got a little bit of an upgrade, so it's looking good. I'm expecting full-blown studio next year, maybe soundproof it a little bit, and won't get as much background noise. But
I like your
it's looking
ambition.
good, Carlos. You're moving on. I like
I
it.
think definitely next year we're going to have a ceiling and have some aircon, right?
Yeah.
'Cause it's
So
a
maybe
bit
that was the
disruptive.
trade-off, right? So you get a bigger room, but you get no ceiling.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. In
Yeah.
fact, that was actually the discussion we had. You can have a slightly bigger space. It won't feel as warm and claustrophobic, but
Right.
you have to deal with the noise. But I think we underestimate just how busy this show is, right? Over 200,000 attendees, 6,300 exhibitors, of which Microsoft are one with a lot of partners. I've seen the stand. I guess you can't really call it a stand because it's multiple experiences within that one stage, and you dominate a lot of space in the other hall.
Yeah.
Ingram Micro, where we are today, has a huge presence as always. We've been exhibiting for a lot of time. We obviously showcase the best in technology, of which Microsoft is a key partner to us. So the reason we're here today, Michel, is mostly because I don't know as much as you. You are at the bleeding edge of what Microsoft is doing in terms of AI, what that looks like in the modern workplace, and how that is really empowering people to get the most out of the meeting room experience and just generally working much more effectively. So as I look around the room, we have what I call bots, which are actually, most people look at them as bots, but actually these are our agents.
Yeah.
So agents is a particularly current word for Microsoft.
Yes.
It's a part of Agentic AI.
Yes.
Can you describe to our viewers, listeners who are watching us, what does that actually mean? What is Agentic AI? Give us a basic 101 on that.
Yeah, I think first of all, thanks for having me again. This is
Anytime.
becoming an annual thing.
Yeah, why not?
I'm enjoying it. Gitex is great. And like you said, it's very crowded. Feels like it's more crowded every year. I think this is the last year they're doing it in this building. I think they're moving to the other Expo building.
They are, yeah. They need more space.
A lot larger, so I'm looking forward to that. Agentic AI, I think what people are starting to realize, we talk about this concept of a frontier firm a lot. And what a frontier firm is, it's a company where AI and people work closely together. Now, this is going to go in three phases, Carlos. The first one is a human with a personal assistant. So that's you using your co-pilot to write meeting notes, transcribe meetings, to write a Word document, create Excel files, do all kinds of stuff that you couldn't formally do in Excel because you and I are not the biggest Excel experts.
Hey, never let it be said I don't like a good spreadsheet. Right?
Hey, see?
But no, there's complications to the everyday work habits, right?
Yes.
Workflow.
Yeah, so you have, again, phase one, a human with a personal assistant. Now, phase two is going to be a human that is using agents to do work. And the human is still doing the work. So what that means is we just launched a couple of new agents. One is the community agent. Hopefully you are familiar with Viva Engage, which used to be called Yammer.
I've not heard of the community agent though. That must be really new.
So normally when you ask, so the other day I was in the office and they changed something around the hospitality policy in the building for guests. And so I went to Viva Engage to ask the people of Viva Engage, hey, did something change? Because I wasn't aware. Normally, if you would need to find an answer, you could go through all these different channels and figure out if the question had already been asked by someone. Now the community agent will say, hey, Michel, the answer is actually right here. And it will give you the answer so you don't have to ask the question anymore. We also launched the channel agent. So in Teams channels, you now have an expert that you can bring along, which is an AI agent.
Cool.
That can keep you up to speed on everything that's happening in that channel. And as you know, there's a lot of stuff happening on the channel.
There is always quite a bit going on, right? I think, just my experience personally with Ingram Micro, we have a lot of different channels. I'm actually responsible for 3 of them myself,
Right.
from Microsoft and a couple of other channels. So to have something that gives me that as a condensed view, and I say condensed and actually a distilled view is probably a better way of describing it, that tells me what's relevant, what's important, what's essential for that day. That's great. That
Exactly.
saved me so much time.
And then you've probably seen the interpreter agent, which
Oh,
can
man, it's
do,
awesome.
and that's a cool one to demo. I like to demo
Yeah,
that
yeah.
one myself a lot. It's real time voice translation, so that means you can speak any language, and I'll hear it back in English. Well, not any officially, not all are supported.
But there's
I
a
did
lot
try-
supported, right? There's
I
quite a
tried
few.
it with a couple of ones that aren't supported, and it works quite well.
Cool.
But you could speak Spanish
Yeah.
to me, and I would hear it in English, and not will I hear your AI voice. I will actually hear your real voice.
It's me,
your
right?
tone.
It's
your
me.
Yeah,
That's me.
it's you.
I love your demo with Robert Carlson. I think that's brilliant. The first time I saw that, my jaw hit the floor. It was kind of like, no way. This is in reality what we've been hoping technology can do for us, right? This is the empowerment of technology in reality to serve us a purpose.
Right.
And I think this is the key, right? Because when we're talking about agents doing things for us, most people use Copilot, ChatGPT, things like this. They use them as a glorified search engine.
Right.
They don't really get value out of it. So the value comes from asking it to do a task, which is taking a task away from you, not just delivering more refined notes on a topic.
Yes, I
right?
agree. I agree. So, one that I like to talk about is with interpreter is if I go, for example, to the French business review, I'm often the only person that doesn't speak French. So I have to ask the people in the room, can you please speak English just for me? Now on that meeting, they can just speak French and I'll hear it back in English.
Yeah.
So that's the interpreter. The other one is the facilitator. So if you look at meetings in general, I think this was one of the topics that we had last year when I was here.
Yeah.
I think meetings are the biggest waste of time. We spend so much money on just unproductive meetings because we simply cannot multitask. That's what a lot of people do is they go to meetings back to back to back. They don't take notes because we just can't take notes and listen at the same time. And then they don't follow up on actions. So bringing the facilitator into the meeting, that facilitator will actually take those notes for you in real time, where you'll start to see them in your client and on your Teams room. And those notes will show up as you talk through them. Now, let's say you say, hey, Michel, we need to start preparing for the podcast that we're going to record at Gitex and create a script, which is something you and I don't do, but just
to be
hypothetically
clear
speaking.
about this, everybody, prepared is not in my vocabulary.
No.
So,
Yeah.
this is straight from the cuff, right?
Yeah, and same here,
It's
right?
true.
So when we prepare, I ask you, don't tell me anything you've prepared because I just want to go.
You
But
prefer it
let's
that
say-
way, right?
But let's say we would, facilitator would know that that's a task, and it would even say, do you want me to handle that task? And if you say yes, so you assign the task to facilitator, facilitator will start working on the script for the podcast. So by the time you get to the end of the meeting, 90% of the work is already done.
And I think that's the beauty, right? Because, like you say, the follow-up. And I've noticed this personally when we're talking internally, externally, whether it's anger in businesses I've worked for before, the problem is always in the follow-up.
Right.
That something's been missed, it's not timely, it's not accurate. It's quite often a very loose discussion. Timeframes are often not set. So this is actually a really good thing for business. I think it's a really good thing for us on an interpersonal level to be able to be that organized straight off the
Right.
back of a meeting, because I pride myself in being quite a good multitasker, right? Spanish heritage, 3-4 conversations at once while I'm doing something else that interests me. I'm still managing to follow. So there's a brain wiring thing that I'm pretty good at. But even so, that said, there is still a challenge in keeping those notes whilst you're going through a meeting.
Yes.
I think meeting recap was a really good part that sort of led us to this point.
Yep.
But obviously now, beyond the meeting recap, we need to make sure that we've got the ability to really get on it straight afterwards, because business evolves, right? And business demands so much of us. And the day-to-day life that we've now designed for ourselves with modern working habits, with the work-life balances that people have, we demand more of our personal time.
Yep.
We demand more of our work time.
Yes.
So making that efficiency happen, this is what we're talking about, really, isn't it? With agents, with facilitator agent in particular.
Yeah.
It takes all that extra task and demand away and does it accurately.
Exactly. And so that is phase 2. So we started with phase 1, people using an AI assistant. Phase 2, people having AI agents and they do the work while the agents are helping them. But there's also a phase 3, Carlos.
Go on.
And that is where you become an agent boss and you control the agents, but the agents do the work for you. So I was just speaking
Awesome.
at another event, and a gentleman came up to me and he told me about this use case that he has where it's a small company They do a lot of events, but it's difficult because they only have a small sales force. It's difficult for them to follow up on the people that have been to the events. So in order for their 2 salespeople to call all the people that been to the events, it would take them weeks.
Yeah.
So what they've done is they build an agent, a voice agent, that is actively contacting their customers that visited their events to see if they can get leads from them.
What a great idea.
So now they have 50 agents that do the follow-up of all of these events. And those 2 sales folks, they just look and see if the agents are doing the work the right way. So they're now the boss of the agent.
So they're essentially quality control in the process, right? They're looking at it from a manager's perspective down.
Exactly.
They're not micromanaging. They're letting them get on with it because they know what they need to do. They're tied into the company's policies and the workflows that have been written for that agent, and ultimately can actually execute the task, dare I say it, probably more efficient than we could.
And where that leads us into is you can essentially get intelligence and knowledge now on tap, right? So that means that if, let's say we need to find another Carlos, which is difficult enough in itself.
I mean, that's rare, right?
Right?
You don't want to do this twice.
But that means if we need to find another person with your level of expertise, we need to go onto LinkedIn. We need to find someone. We need to probably do 7, 8, 9, 10 interviews with 10 different people. And we need to do 2 or 3 interviews with all of those 10, or maybe with a short list of 3. And then in 2 months, we figure out who we would love to hire. We need to make an offer. We need to wait for the second you to accept the offer. And then we need for you to say goodbye to your old job. So now I'm 6 months.
So many pieces.
Takes me 6 months. So I can see a world where you have, like, I'm not saying LinkedIn is doing this, but a LinkedIn for agents where you just go to a marketplace and you say, I want someone with a high knowledge of AV and UC and AI, and I need that person for the next 6 months. And you hit click, and within 2 seconds, you have that agent. And I see people using that for, there was someone who used it for, was looking for someone who specialized in EU law.
Okay.
Right? But it only needed that expertise for a short period of time. So instead of trying to find a person, they now just click on an agent and they hire that agent.
Expertise is on tap for them.
And now they have the so that's the agentic AI world that we're.
It's interesting. I watched the keynote yesterday, and forgive me if I can't remember the presenters, but there were a couple of gentlemen who were from PricewaterhouseCoopers. So PwC were talking about, and it was legal minded. You know, it's how AI helps the legal fraternity. In as much as, you know, we've all had positive, negative experiences. Usually, legal teams are placed under a lot of demand for expedience. They need to get much more done in the time they have. And us as either the sales or commercial professionals, we want them to return back a result on our inquiry as quickly as possible. So actually, we're under the same pressures, but the attention to detail cannot go away regardless of the pressure. And I think the legal case study is a really good one because the fear people have outside of AI rising up and taking over the world, which is not going to happen, right? The reality is that a lot of the fear.
I was kidding.
I like how you throw that in there. Caveat, Microsoft caveat. Obviously not official Microsoft opinion. But the reality is it has to be accurate. And I've got a conversation I'm having tomorrow with one of our Ian partners, Jabra, which is actually putting the face on AI, which is, what does that mean, putting the face on AI? Well, we've got a face. It's our little agent bot here, right? But in reality is, what we mean by that, it's the eyes, the ears, and the mouth. You know, AI is only as good as, it's the proverbial, it's only as good as what you put in. You can only get out what you put in. And that's so true. The data intelligence and the comprehension around that can only be utilized to its maximum potential if what goes in is of high quality, whether that's because the AI system you're working with is listening, it has highest fidelity audio possible, and that audio intelligibility is as high as can be. Because let's face it, you and I are having a conversation, you can speak the same language as me, but if you mumble, or if I mumble, I'm only going to perceive a certain amount of that. And I'm going to misinterpret what you're telling me, even though we speak the exact same language and we're in front of each other. AI is no different. And I think it's really interesting when you sort of put those technologies into the context of AI is now developing a persona, and in particular, the likes of the facilitator agent and other agents that obviously Microsoft will be working on developing that. I think it's really exciting. What you're referring to, obviously, with those, let's go out and find somebody. I mean, wow, how much time have you just saved that one person trying to look for 100 different candidates to distill it? And the important part is there. People might say, yeah, but wasn't that traditionally the role of the recruiter, right? Well, yeah, it was, but now the recruiter can manage a bank of agents, and the agents can be doing the heavy lift.
Yeah.
More importantly, the agents will be 100% accurate, or 99.999% accurate all the time.
Yep.
Not just when they're feeling great, not just when they're having a good day, not just when they show up in the right headspace. It's all the time. There's consistency in the delivery. I think that's for me the value it has in my world, because I'm an emotional person, Michel. I run, believe it or not, I run hot and cold. Some things affect me more than others. When I don't get necessarily the results that I believe are right, that should be the outcomes of things, for matters out of my control potentially, it affects me. I'm your typical.
You're human.
I'm a human. Yeah, you're typical human, right? So these things, when we take this out of the equation, and to your point, that person we're trying to find, that hire we're trying to find, that needle in a haystack. And I referred to the Copilot advert where the guy comes in with the metal detector to find a needle in a huge stack of needles. It's like, oh, done. That's what Copilot does. It cuts through all of that, and it gives you that needle immediately. It finds it. But the important thing is there's no bias as well.
Right.
When we talk about being human, we talk about using the technology in that way. It takes away that bias. Some might say it's clinical, but actually I have a lot of conversations with Copilot on a daily basis, and I use it as a associate. I use it as a colleague that I can get information from, and I can task it with helping my understanding of things.
And I do think, Carlos, to be super honest, is I do see that as a little bit of a risk, right? I see a lot of people that are just using AI now as there's no creativity in their own brain anymore, right? So they're going to their consumer app for everything. I think that's a threat. There's a research that recently came out, and I forgot the research company that showed people that use ChatGPT that their brain is already showing different functions.
I saw that. That's troubling, actually. Quite worrying.
Yeah. So I think you should indeed, like you said, use it as a companion. So I'm a decent talker. I'm a very bad writer.
Okay.
Right. So when I need to put stuff on paper, I remember when I used to write my business reviews, it would take me hours, Carlos, to write those things. And even if I would hand them in, my manager would come back to me and say, it's just not good enough. So I need to reword it again, and it took me forever. Now I write whatever I need to write, and I have my Copilot that's actually making my own words sound better, or be more clear, or be more concise. And so I use that AI as a pure companion. But if you look at the three phases that I just discussed, that's only phase one, right? So now I'm using agents that are helping me do all kinds of things. So now I don't even have to write most of the business review anymore. I have an agent that's writing the business review for me, right? And it's writing 85% of what I need based on the input that I've given it during the month.
Yeah, and I think that's important, right? It can't magic it out of thin air. It has to understand, well, who is Michel? How does he speak?
Yes.
What work has he done before? And it's very important, and I've heard you talk about this previously, and we have this when we have community calls at Microsoft, where if you're using an external agent or anything like that, you're off the call straight away, because that's not secure.
Oh, so let me tell you why. So I think that's important for people to understand. What we're seeing is that, so bring your own AI is a real issue in companies. So what does that mean? That means that people bring whatever consumer app they use, and whether it's a bot, an agent, or just a platform, if it's a free tool, you're paying for it. And what people often forget to realize is that when you use these free tools, and Carlos, in my personal life, I'm a fan of all of them.
Yeah.
But if you use them for business, that means that whatever you're putting into these free tools are now becoming part of the public domain.
Yes.
Right? Because all these companies are saying, if you're using our free consumer product, we will use whatever you're doing to train our algorithms and our large language models.
No, they're not even hiding it, right? It's there. It's very transparent.
Yeah, as they should. Yeah. So I think that's a big issue now happening in companies, that they're losing their IP because people are using consumer apps. So of course, right, at Microsoft, we would love for you to start using Microsoft 365 Copilot. But the least thing you should do is move to a commercial solution instead of letting your people use consumer AI, because that's again, you're making it part of the public.
And it's a very important part of it. And I think this sort of talks to the fact that we're not quite there yet as a society, whether it's a professional or consumer-based society, of understanding the risks, the relative threats, the potential advantages and experience enhancements that we can get from utilizing AI.
Yeah.
I heard Peng Zhao, who's the CEO of G42 Group, who was on the keynote this morning with Sam Altman from OpenAI, and he was saying that actually AI is a mindset that we all just need to become much more comfortable with.
Yes.
Now, we need to understand what that mindset means. It's not just a case of, I know AI, I'm comfortable with it, doesn't threaten me. No, you need to understand how you use it.
Yep.
And if that's a case of you're not using your personal AI in order to feed it business-related tasks, you're using your personal AI to help you with performing the task, sure. But as long as it's detached from the business world, anything that is business sensitive and that's critical, like you say, it's a company's IP, needs to stay within the domain. And I think this is something that Microsoft has been very, very clear, and in fact actually advocates in terms of ensuring that it is within that sphere. And that's the point I was making, where we go into your community calls, and and it's very clear. We have it in a position where, we understand the risks. You guys are making sure that we understand the risks. It's responsible AI.
Yep.
And this is something that Microsoft, and I've spoken about this for a couple of years now in various different events and different contexts. Actually, Microsoft were the first and still continue to be the strongest speaker around responsible AI. And I think this is the same thing when we're talking about meeting room experiences. As many people know, Teams Rooms is my passion, but actually Teams Rooms is now it's a small part of the overall picture when it comes to AI, right? It's a very important part.
Yeah, but
there's so much more.
I'd rather say that Teams Rooms has become a multi-purpose device.
Absolutely.
Right? So maybe even a year ago, we were sitting here. It was I would say just a great meeting device. It looks like we're about to get kicked out.
We are. It always happens to us, right?
Yeah, so it was just a great meeting device. Now it has integration with Microsoft 365 Copilot. You have these agents. So it starts with facilitator, we'll bring interpreter, and I'm sure we'll announce many more agents coming soon. You have digital signage, right? And then you have Microsoft Places, which is a whole separate podcast. So it has become a multi-purpose device. We're really about to get kicked out.
We are about to get out. Well, we started late, so seeing as this is a Microsoft-funded space, I think we're in a good position to stand our ground. But before we go, Michel, I'm making this a tradition. Last year, I gave you a little, if you remember, a little cup, a little one of these
I do remember.
reusable cups with Copilot on it. I haven't quite got the branding thing tied up this time, but for the purpose of the camera, we have a Microsoft bag. Inside is a little something from us to you.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
So you can enjoy that when you're in your hotel room, just chilling out, doing some work, obviously working on your next business reviews naturally, and getting the agent to do that. But look, Michel, sadly we have run out of time.
Yes.
We do have to respect other people's needs to use the room. I want to thank you again for making this space happen, you and all of Microsoft. I want to also thank you for your time. It's a long journey for us in the Western Hemisphere.
Yep.
Is it a hemisphere? Is it a semisphere?
I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is. What the other half is in the Western world, right? But it's a long journey. You're obviously going to be tired because the schedules are very busy for you. I know what it's like. So thank you again. We have a chat with Stephen Christensen and Prashant Bishnoi tomorrow, actually, from Microsoft, who are leading the charge in and around this region. So it'll be interesting to see what they make of what's going on and how that develops. So stay tuned, everybody. You're not just catching this one with Michel. Michel is the warm-up act for the other guys. So, but we've got more coming.
Thank you, Carlos. Thanks for the partnership.
Thank you. No worries. Take care.